Unity considers Jesus our way shower, our master teacher. Our co-founders, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, took hold of this notion so strongly and so deeply that the idea and the concept of Jesus being our way shower and our master teacher is pervasive in all of their writings. And in fact, since the beginning, many other Unity ministers and teachers have continued to write about how valuable we find Jesus as our master teacher. From Georgiana Tree West, Mary Furley, Catherine Ponder, to Jim Rosemergy and Paul Hasselbeck, we are still valuing and expressing and learning from Jesus, opening our minds and hearts to the teachings of Jesus. In fact, this notion is so pervasive that it's even in our governance documents. And who knew that we would ever be putting bylaws up here as inspiration? But here they are. The purpose of Unity of Wilmington and North Carolina Corporation is to teach the universal principles of truth as taught and demonstrated by Jesus Christ and interpreted by Unity. Unity of Wilmington shall be open to all persons who choose to align themselves with the current mission, vision of the church and endeavor to live in accord with the Jesus Christ principles of love and truth as taught by Unity. Now, Jesus taught by example. He said, listen to what I say, watch what I do, because you can do this too. I never got the impact of learning from one another until I had children. And maybe it was part of my spiritual journey, maybe it was just part of my actual maturing as an adult, but here I had children, and when I was with them, all of a sudden, here was an experience that I had with my mother, quickening as an impulse within me. Words that my mother had said, whether they be hurtful words or helpful words, were just coming right out of my mouth. I learned from her by example. And what I got to recognize as an adult is I had an opportunity to go into discernment, to use my own judgment, to seek that higher source of wisdom. Is this the way I want to be with my children? Is this what I want to do? Is this truly what I want to see? Because this is what I learned. But it doesn't mean that this is the way I need to continue. Now, I get my mom did the best she could. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that my mom did the best she could at the time. But I also have faith that I can now do the best that I know how in this time. There's a story told in 3 out of the 4 Gospels about 2 men who had demons within them. And these demons within them said to Jesus, if you cast us out, could you put us in that herd of pigs over there? So Jesus did. And the pigs went over a cliff and into an abyss. And I thought, now that's the most interesting story I've ever heard. But when I look at how we can interpret it by Unity ways and look at how Unity teaches that story, what I get to look at is how this story comes alive for me metaphysically. In Unity, we use metaphysics as a philosophy to make every story in the Bible relevant for us today. So when I look at the metaphysical representation of demons, demons are simply a state of consciousness that I'm in, that is in my mind, because I have used my spiritual faculties unwisely or from ignorance. Who in here, don't look, but you could put up your hand, who in here hasn't used spiritual faculties unwisely or from ignorance? I think we all have. We've all made what we consider now mistakes. Because at the time we made those choices, we had a body of knowledge. We had a certain amount of information. But once we begin to expand our consciousness with a commitment to spiritual maturity and actually stepping into our full adulthood, we have a bigger body of knowledge. And it is with retrospect, looking back, that we can go, oh, I guess I could have made a different decision. I guess I could have made a different choice. And we can step in with love and wisdom and say, if I were to make that choice today, I might make a different choice because I know more today. My heart is expanded. My mind is expanded. Metaphysically, Jesus represents that Christ light, that Christ presence that is in every single one of us. So Jesus did it. Jesus had that Christ presence, but metaphysically, so do we. We have the entirety of our divinity within us. And sometimes we call it the I am. So when Jesus says, I am the light of the world, we resonate with that because we go, yes, I am the light of the world. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the light. I am divine. I am divine. Now these are audacious statements. Statements from a radical teacher. But there is in unity a consciousness that attracts radical students. And we are here because there is something radical in us that wants our life to be different. We want to experience the kingdom of heaven. We want more love. We want more joy. We want to hear laughter all around us. And we want that peace that passes all understanding. One of our current Unity writers is Linda Martella-Whitsitt. She's authored a book called Divine Audacity, and I love the subtitle. The subtitle says, Dare to be the light of the world. And this is where I get to say, I dig dog double dare you. Dare you, and I dare you, and I dare every one of you to be the light of the world. Let your radical self step into your spiritual ability to be love, to be light, to be peace. This book outlines and takes us deeper into Unity's 12 powers, and this is what Linda Martella-Whitsitt says. Our spiritual abilities are invisible, vibratory, non-physical energies that can be stimulated and sensed. Although our spiritual abilities are natural to us, they exist in potential until they are recognized, activated, and developed. From childhood forward, we have developed these abilities in their physical expressions. We have learned, for example, how to express wisdom as sound judgment when making decisions, and how to express harmonizing love in our relationships. Now, there is a time and place to activate these powers one at a time. When we have a dream or a desire, we can activate our spiritual ability or our spiritual faculty of zeal, because zeal is going to give us that motivation to take action, to move toward our desire and our dream. We can activate our power of elimination or our power of release when we recognize we've got demons running around in our minds, running rampant. And all we have to say is, I release them, I rebuke them, I invite them to go into oblivion. Oblivion. But there are other times when it's helpful and supportive to our highest good to combine two or more of our spiritual faculties. When we combine the power of love and the power of wisdom, and we put them together, we create a synergy that is actually bigger than if we use them each by themselves. And so when we invite that synergy in, it's exponentially ratcheting up our radical selves. Our radical selves. Charles Fillmore likened the laws of love with the laws of gravity. When we think about Newtonian definition of gravity, it's like this solid mass of energy that's working the same in every place. So according to Newtonian gravity, it's what keeps our objects in divine order so that everything, like our planets, will orbit in perfect divine order. It means that the apple will always fall from the tree. And it means that our cardiovascular system in our body will always be working because of the law of gravity. Now, Einstein had a different definition of gravity. Einstein saw gravity as a continuum that wasn't even. So in some places there was greater gravity than others. There were times where gravity got activated in different ways. Now Charles Fillmore, he said, well, I understand Newtonian law, but I am inspired by the metaphysics of Einstein. And so he said this, and I'm going to put up 3 quotes that we'll go through one at a time. He said this: love is the drawing power of the mind. So when we have love activated, we're actually increasing the power of gravity. We're increasing its magnetic field. So when we activate love, we're activating the drawing power of the mind. And whatever we put in the field is what we're going to draw to us. So if we put rainy days and cold weather into the field, we're going to draw to us rainy days and cold weather. If we put compassion and kindness and sweetness and light into the field, we're going to draw to us compassion and kindness and sweetness and light. If we put angry words into the field, we're going to draw to us angry words. The law is indiscriminate, and it's wisdom. It is our wisdom that we use to decide what to put in the field. So if I use my higher power of wisdom, and I'm going to say I want to put peace in the field, then I'm actually using the law of love to draw to me peace. The second thing I want you to know about love is that it doesn't have any discrimination about anything else. It views everything as good. Everything is good. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality finally to appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Our power of wisdom with the power of love is knowing that it's going to take patience and perseverance to finally get to see what that good is. There's a story told in ancient India about a king who had a trusted and loyal advisor. This trusted and loyal advisor was always with the king, and one day when they were out hunting, the loyal advisor tripped, the gun went off, and it shot the toe right off the king. And the king was mad. But the trusted advisor said, like he did to everything, because he had this really annoying habit of saying this every time, he said, "That's good." And the king's like, "How can you say this is good? This is bad, this is horrible. I don't have a toe, and I'm in pain." And the trusted, loyal advisor said, "That's good." So the king says, "You're fired." And the trusted, loyal advisor said, "That's good." A couple months go by, the king is captured by a group of tribesmen who decide that the king is going to be the one that they're going to use in the ceremony of sacrifice. And they get the king and they strip him down and they prep him and they paint him and they do all these things, and all of a sudden they notice he's missing a toe. And they say, "Oh no, this person is unfit. We cannot sacrifice him. And they let him go. So the king gets back to the palace, and the first thing he did was say, I want you to go find my most trusted and loyal advisor and bring him to me. So if the trusted loyal advisor comes to the king, and the king says, you know, you knew it. You knew that losing my toe was good. And I'm so grateful because you saved my life today. You saved my life today. And I get that, and I see that, and I understand that. But what I don't see is how firing you can possibly have been good. And the trusted advisor says, oh, your highness, you know, as your loyal and trusted advisor, I was with you everywhere you went. And if you had not fired me, I would have been with you when you were captured by that group of tribesmen. And being that I have all my fingers and my toes, I would have been next on the list to get sacrificed. And if you love that story and you love that idea, just say, I love that. I love that. Love draws to it. Love sees only good. Wisdom helps us to know what to put in the field. Wisdom helps us to know to be patient, and that eventually we will perceive what is in front of us as good. And then there's judgment. Charles Fillmore says, judgment is the mental act of evaluation through comparison or contrast. And up until the end of the 20th century, Unity would call this spiritual faculty judgment. But judgment was getting a bad rap. Oh, that's so judgmental. Oh, you're such a judge of things. Who made you judge and jury? So Unity began to use words like wisdom and discernment. But ultimately, it's self-evaluation that is our salvation. 3 major religions talk about the day of judgment. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all talk about the day of judgment as if it's something that's looming somewhere in our future, and that day of judgment is going to get you. Right? You see how judgment gets a bad rap? But every day in metaphysics, every day is a day of judgment. Every day is an opportunity to self-evaluate. Every day is an opportunity to ask ourselves, what do I want to do in this situation? What do I want to draw into my field of love? What decision do I want to make about this issue? What is it that my divine nature is calling to be expressed in me? What truth is wanting to be revealed so that I can look beyond appearances? And what is it about my unapologetic purpose that is asking to be sourced in this moment? Living in love and activating our divine wisdom, we can answer those questions from an expanded consciousness, from a place that invites and inspires personal transformation. I'm going to put some affirmations up here. And what I want you to know, that it is implicit in choosing to make these affirmations that you are agreeing to do spiritual work. It doesn't go like that. This is really asking you if you want those demons to be right out of your mind into oblivion. It's asking you if you want to be in that higher place. Hear the affirmations, and if you want to say them with me, I invite you into it, because you are such powerful people. Each and every one of you has an incredible power. You have a radical power. So if you want to activate that power, say these with me. Living in love and activating divine wisdom, I draw to me that which I desire. Living in love and activating divine wisdom, I see the good in every situation. Living in love and activating divine wisdom, I source my choices from my unapologetic holy purpose. My unapologetic holy purpose is to serve Unity of Wilmington, to serve all of the people at Unity of Wilmington, not just some of the people, not just the new people, not just the old people, not just the happy people, not just the angry people, but every single person who is a part of this community. It is my unapologetic holy purpose to serve you, and I am honored to do so. Moses led the people of Israel in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years. It can seem to people like one lifetime or 2 lifetimes or 3 lifetimes, but metaphysically, the number 40 represents as long as it takes. And I believe that Unity of Wilmington is on a precipice of being in a decision-making place where we're going to say, wow, that was as long as it took. That was as long as it took. And as the people got ready to come into the promised land, Moses said this. It comes from the first chapter of Deuteronomy, verses 10 and 11. The Lord your God has multiplied you so that today you are as numerous as the stars of heaven. May the Lord, the God of your ancestors, increase you 1,000 times more and bless you as he has promised. You are the promise of love and wisdom and so much more. Let's sing about letting the love wash over us and letting it be as we come into a time of meditation with Reverend Mickey.
Consciousness of love, that which magnetizes to us what we send forth, that frequency of love, that energy that emanates from the heart and wants nothing but the best for each other, for ourselves, for our community, for our town, for our planet, for the world. Let it be. And let in that beingness, that wisdom that is within us flow through. Resting in love, wisdom, resting in love, and allowing for the highest and the best to come through. That allowing. Let's take that wisdom and love and allowance of it into the sacred and holy silence. Living in love and wisdom. We can look in the mirror and we can see the radiant wholeness that we are, each and every one of us. Combined with wisdom, love steps forth and reminds us that we are wondrously made, that we have all of the capacities of God within us to express joyfully. Living love and wisdom, we can be the kingdom of heaven that we were invited into, allowing it to express not only within us but between us. Knowing that all is in divine